Hey guys, hope everybody's doing well. In this episode we're going to make an attempt at creating a dial lens. I think it came out pretty good. You be the judge. Check it out. I'm also going to show you some of the fasteners that I'm using to affix the front plate to the cabinet, and we'll see how that looks too. It's going to be a little bit of noise in this thing when I do the dial glass formation. You'll see that as we get to it, but hope you enjoy it. Thanks. Hey everybody, this is going to be an episode that's dedicated specifically to the dial glass or the dial plastic. You remember in the last video, here's the piece of dial plastic, and if you remember it has a crack here. And I've been kind of thinking about ways that I'm going to reproduce this thing, right? I'm not going to buy it, it's a simple thing. So originally I took a block of wood and I kind of drew out, and I was going to get my router out and route that out, and then make a piece and kind of melt the plastic and put it on top and see if I can get really sharp corners. But I decided against this because I don't think it's going to work as well as I want it to. So I want to tell you where I've landed on the solution. So I've taken a paint stirrer, believe it or not, which is exactly the same depth as the actual dial needs to be. And I've formed it exactly to be the same size as the original plastic, okay? So that's good. And I know that it's going to fit well in here because I've got a little bit of a gap around the edges. So when I form the plastic's going to need a little bit of room when it bends. So I've done that. And I've come across a good way to do this, and I'm going to share it with you because it may be something you're interested in. So let me show you that. So first thing we did was we built the box. This is just a square box, and you'll see there's a hole here, and I'll explain what that is in a moment. Very simple construction. And then there's a piece of pegboard on top with holes. And what we're going to do is we're going to use vacuum suction to do this. I saw a couple of videos on it. It looked interesting. So what you do is you put your shop vac in here, and you take your piece of plastic, and for example, you put this right here, and you put it into a metal frame, and you warm up the plastic, and you just go like this, and you have the vacuum on, and it just pulls everything right down, and you get a perfect form. I have no idea if it's going to work, but I've got nothing to lose. So right here I have a whole pack of PETG thermoform plastic sheets. All right, so that works. I've got that already, and it's I think it's 0.0200 thick, so it's pretty thin. I don't really need anything fancy for this. And then what I'm going to do is I've got a metal frame that I've built. It's right here. This white frame will fit exactly over here, like this. So when I put the plastic in here, and I'll explain what these clips do in a moment. When I put the plastic in and heat it up, you just kind of go like this with the vacuum on, and it'll pull it right down and suck it down, and I'll get a perfect form of this piece. That's the hope. Now the way this works, this is two pieces, like so. So there's a bottom piece. Here's the bottom. That's going to go right there like that, right? And then the plastic gets sandwiched between the two of these, like so. And you take these black clips, like this, and you just kind of hold them together, make sure that it's secure, just like that. And that will ensure that the plastic has no air gaps, and when I push it down, it's not going to move anywhere, which is good. And then the last thing I needed to figure out was how do I heat it? So I could try using a heat gun, but that's uneven. You get uneven heat. So what I did was, let me pull this up a little bit. I measured the size of my toaster oven. I have an old toaster oven that I'm not using anymore. It's 14-inch rack in it. So what I did was I built basically some supports, and I've riveted them to 1/2 of the form. And this will slide right into the oven. And what you do is, when you slide it in, you want to wait for the plastic to droop a little bit. You don't want it to go down too deep, and you don't want it to touch the heating elements, but you want to see the plastic drooping. Once that's done, of course, you got to use oven mitts because it's hot, and you got to be really quick. You turn the vacuum on with this thing, and you just go like this, like that. Okay, I have to make sure these clips are in the right places so they don't hit. But it should be a simple action like that and it's done. Okay, so I'm going to take you along for that ride and show you. And the good news is you can build these boxes any size you need. I didn't need anything really large because I'm just making this one simple piece here. But this is large enough to do what I need to do. And I'm hoping that I get a perfect piece that will be just as good as this one. So that's the plan, okay? So we'll take you along for that ride. And then the other thing I want to show you, along the same lines, is after I build that piece, I have to find a way to remount this thing back to the metal cabinet. Now what they used was brass eyelets. I had to break them to get it off. So I purchased some of these brass eyelets. They're very, very cheap. And they'll go through here like this. And then the plastic lens that we're going to build goes over the holes. And then you match it up against the metal cabinet. And then you have to put these other receiving pieces on the end and you have to form them. And I'll show you how we do that. I'll give you an example. And it'll basically crimp this down and it'll basically bond this to the cabinet. That's my plan. So I have two different sizes. I have a large one like this. And let me show you a different size here so you can get a feel. So these are relatively short. I'm not sure which one I'm going to end up using because I don't know how the complete depth of everything once I get it in there. But you can see one is longer than the other. So I'm going to use one or the other. I'm not sure which one yet. But let me show you how this works. Pretty cool. I never knew anything about this stuff. But we're gonna show you one, and we'll show you how it works. So let's do that. I have an entire kit here. This thing is literally like completely inexpensive. All right. So here's the subject: piece of foam. First thing you do is you take the punch. They give you a punch, and what you need to do is just take a hammer, and you need to punch a hole. I don't need to punch a hole because I have the holes already, but for this one we're going to do it. Okay? So now I've got a perfect hole. Punch is done. I'm going to use the shorter one. You put the short one in the hole, and they give you a die that goes over the grommet, like so. Now you'll see here, this is a little bit short, this grommet. It doesn't go through the thick material. So let's try the longer one. So we're going to take the longer one, put it through the material. It's right there flush, you can see it. Put it over the die, and then we're going to put the other end on it. And this is where it gets pretty cool. They give you this tool, like this. It's basically just a crimper. You put that there, give it a couple of whacks. Make sure it's secure. We'll take it out. There we go. Sorry about that. And here we are. It's crimped over. And I could show you if I squeeze the material together, you can see it's got a lip on it now. Obviously I didn't go all the way down, but I could crimp it further if I want. Matter of fact, because I had a problem taking it off, I owe you another one. Let's really crimp it down. There you go. So this thing is crimped down really, really well now. You can see that. Okay? So that's how this works. So that's how I'm going to secure the faceplate to the rest of the body of the radio. So between these two things, I've got a good plan to get this thing back together. So really, it's just a question now of seeing how my my dial plastic is going to work out. I think the vacuum plan is going to work out really well. It's really simple to make these things. This is just, aluminum framing, kind of like what you use on a window, a screen window. And there's corner joiners, and you cut it to size, make sure it fits over the box, and then you use an old toaster oven to melt it. And we're going to see how that works. So that's going to be the next thing we do, is we're going to work on this together, and if it fails, we'll fail together. That's okay. So let me get that all set up, and then we'll see how it works. Okay, we've moved to outside, and we're going to attempt to make this dial glass. Right here is our vacuum form. I've got it connected to a shop vac, and right there is our toaster oven. And right here I have the piece of plastic that we're going to put into the frame that I built, that I showed you. So the first thing we're going to do, I'm hoping this is on camera because I'm a single operator here. What we're going to do is we're going to peel this plastic off of the thermoplastic. Got to take the coating off. Can't leave it on there. Doesn't come off so easy. Okay. There's one side. Throw that out. Let's get the other side. Okay, and you probably can't see that, but it's crystal clear. So what we're going to do is we're going to sandwich it between this piece that I built, like so, and we're going to put this piece on top of it, like so. We're going to line it up, and then we're going to put our clips on. Now we're going to make sure the clips don't protrude too far in, because it has to fit over this, right? So let's get these clips on, and then we'll test it and make sure it's going to fit once it melts. Okay, let's do a test fit and see if it actually will work. It will. And you'll notice it's raised up, obviously, because it hasn't melted. The hope is that when it's heated and the vacuum is on, it's going to pull it, the entire thing down. Okay, good. That's a good start. We'll put this aside for a minute. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to position our template. This is our piece that we've made. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it right here, just like this. I want to make sure it's fairly centered. I want to make sure I have the right side. I do. It's nice and smooth. Remember, it's going to do exactly what's here. So we're going to put our piece right there. Let me look in the camera and make sure I can see it. There it is, right there. Okay, we're starting out. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to turn on our toaster oven, which is right there. This should be a pretty quick process. We're going to turn it on and we're going to set it to bake for 350. Let's make sure we don't blow a fuse. Okay, that's on. I'm going to let that heat up for a few minutes. And while that's heating up, I want to show you what I'm going to expect to see. So when I put this in the toaster oven, I'm going to expect this plastic here to start to sag. Just a little bit. When it sags, I'll know that it's ready to take out with the oven mitts, turn on the shop vac, and take this thing and just slam it on like this. And we'll see if that works. That's going to be the plan. So I'm going to leave the camera running here. I'm probably going to edit some of this out if it takes a while for this thing to heat up. And I'll see if I can set up a second camera so you can at least see what's happening here. Okay, we're still waiting for the oven to preheat. We're going to turn on the other camera right here. Okay, now we have both cameras running. And we're just going to give that thing a minute to preheat. Once we put the piece of plexi in the oven, we're going to turn on the shop vac, and it's going to get a little noisy, so you're probably not going to hear me. But we're going to wait until that plastic drops a little bit, and then we're going to slap it on there and see what happens. I hope I'm using a powerful enough shop vac. Let me keep this in mind, guys. This may be a complete failure, and we'll have to try it again. We'll find that out in a minute. Alright, toaster oven is turned off. Vacuum is turned off. It looks like it worked. I'm going to let that cool for a minute because if I pick it up I'm going to get burned. See if we can take these clips off anyway. Let's see what we have. Looks like a dial glass to me. See it? You gotta remember, this is not a very deep dial glass. It's just a small protrusion from the faceplate. Right there. Of course I have to trim this. Looks like it's pretty clear. A little bit of dirt on there we can get off. Okay. I'd say this thing is a success. Pretty cool. Interesting. Alright, so we're going to try that out and see if it fits. So let's go do that. Good stuff. Okay, we've got the piece installed, and it looks like it's pretty good. It's not perfect. It probably could have been a little bit deeper, but this is going to work just fine. It's a nice clear piece of plastic. Sits in there well, does its job, protecting the dial. And I think this is going to work out just fine. I've got it clamped in right now. This is where those rivets go that I showed you. So for now, I think we're good. So I hope you found this useful. I think next time if I do it, I would let the plastic melt a little bit more. And I probably need a little bit of help to get these lines a little crisper. So I would use a small block of wood to do that. Didn't do that this time. Don't need to. But if I was doing it again, that's how I would do it. So there's a cheap, economical way of creating some dial covers if you need to. You could also use a wooden form. I know our friend at Restore Old Radios, Don, has done that. Create a wood form and heat it with a heat gun and press it down. You could do the same thing. This vacuum method seemed to work pretty well, though. So I hope you enjoyed this. Now, in our next episode, we're going to be installing this in the refinished metal cabinet. Installing these rivets that I told you about to hold them together. There they are. And that's going to be how we proceed. All right, everybody. Have a great day.